Hello and welcome to Geordie Leather. In today's episode we're going to cover the topic of die cutting leather. But before I get into that, a quick thank you to everybody that's already entered the March 2021 giveaway competition, and that's open until the end of March. So if you haven't already, please head over to geordieleather.com and enter the competition. It's completely free. So die cutters. I'm going to cover what a die cutter is, why it's useful, why it'll save you loads of time, and why it can potentially make you a much greater income from your leather work. So let's head across the workbench and show you some die cutters. So what is a die cutter? A die cutter is a pre-formed blade which will allow you to cut out a shape over and over again perfectly. If you're a traditional leather worker and you want to use traditional tools, sharp knives, blades, cutting tools to carefully cut out shapes, that's fine. But if you're in leather work to make an income, which I know a lot of you are, judging by the correspondence I get, you need a means to cut out shapes in leather quickly and repeatedly. This is where die cutters come in. Now a die cutter comes in a massive range of shapes, sizes, designs, from basic. I'll show you some basic shapes first. Now, this is my little drawer of shapes. I have lots of different shapes, but let's give you some examples. This is my hearts shape, in case you didn't recognize the shape. And if I take one of these, all it actually is, I'll show you on the close-up, all it actually is a steel blade. Now this is Japanese steel, which holds its edge for a long time and remains sharp really well. So it's just been formed by a machine into the perfect shape of a heart. Now, like I say, as you can see in this set, there's a wide range of sizes. I keep them in a little tray because I'm a bit anal like that. I keep things organised. But so I've got hearts. This tray here, for example, this is miscellaneous triangles, oval shapes, rounded rectangles. There's a little set of small rectangles with square corners. I mean, there are so many shapes. Every shape you can imagine, circles, squares, triangles, stars, there's a cutting die for that. So, I mean, here's, for example, here is a set of cutting dies for making belt ends. You know, the end of a leather belt has a pointy shape or a round shape or a square shape. This little cutting set here will cut those out perfectly over and over again. Now, I'm going to show you how to use dies in a moment, but that was just a general overview of what's available. Now, these are general shapes, but there are also a range of pre-made designs. Now, if you're into making things like wallets, purses, bags, handbags, those sort of things, there are a massive range of pre-made cutting dies on the market. So I'll show you some of those now. Just have a sip of coffee because I need a cup of coffee. So on my bench, if you look at the overhead cam view, you can see, and the side cam too, this is just a very small selection of some of the dies we sell on Geordie Leather. Now, these dies have been set into a wooden block, which makes them easier to press. We'll cover that in detail in a moment, but to give you some examples, you've probably seen this die used by me many times in previous videos. Again, I'll give you a close-up on the side cam. So this is just a wooden block which has a razor blade steel rule die embedded into it, with some punches also embedded in. So when you use this, it will stamp out this particular shape in leather, other materials very easily. So they come in a wide range of designs, keyrings, key fobs, because they're one of the biggest, most popular products people make in leather work. So here's another example. This is another key fob cutting die. This is what it would do: cut out a piece of leather like this, which you would then fold over, glue, and that forms a nice little key fob. So again, another popular shape. So these are all keyrings, but Wallets are also a very, very popular item made by leather crafters. So we just find one. There's so many to choose from, I get lost sometimes. This, for example, is a little set. They often come in sets because there's not always just one shape. There are multiple shapes that need to be cut out for a wallet. So this is a set, get that on camera for you, of 3 dies which come for a wallet project. I'll try and find an example of this is, for example, is one of a wallet I used to make quite regularly, and this would be cut from this sort of die. You can see the shape of the die, how that is the shape of the leather piece there, and the back piece would be cut out with a rectangle with rounded corners. So you cut those 3 bits out and you just stitch them together and you've got a wallet. I mean, isn't that easy? Isn't that quick? And the beauty of cutting dies is they save you so much time. You can cut these by hand, fine, but it'll probably take you quite a while to get them perfect. With this, put the die on the leather, stamp it, it's cut. Isn't that brilliant? So let's have a look at some of the methods used to cut leather with cutting dies. Okay, so we're going to do some die cutting. I'm going to use this little gadget here. This is what you call a die cutting press. I purchased this with my own money from a company I have worked with before, CPL. They also make the FoilCraft stamping machine range. So like I say, it's not a very expensive machine, but it's the sort of thing you really need to think about if you're going to be doing leather work other than just as a hobby. As I've said before, you can spend ages cutting things out, sewing things all by hand, which is fine. But if you want to earn a living from it, this isn't feasible. You have to automate some of the process a little bit. So when it comes to cutting out shapes, a die cutter saves you so much time and so much effort, but also makes you a lot more money. So it's worth it. So I'm going to take some leather. I'll do some hard leathers and some soft leathers, and we'll show you how to die cut. So let me start off by just finding some leather over here. Okay, so here's a piece of, this is chromium tanned, commonly referred to as upholstery leather, but it's often used for wallets and things like that. It's very thin, it's about, let's measure it and tell you, so you know what the machines can do. So this particular scrap is, can you see that? This, I can zoom in for you. There we go. That's about 1.2 millimeters. I'm not sure what that is in US ounces, but let's move on. So I'm going to take a simple shape. Let's say I want to put a perfect circle from that. So I'll get my circles. I didn't actually show you circles. Circles come in a handy little box like this, which as you can see on the close-up cam again, wide range of diameters. So just pick a one you want. Nothing. Let's just pick the biggest one. It's probably easier to show you that. So you see that is a die cutter, a simple circular die cutter. So I want to cut a circle of that certain size. This happens to be a 55 millimeter diameter die cutter. So all I do, the machine, to use the machine is very, very simple. It's basically a lever which you pull down, which as you can see raises and lowers this very strong steel platform. The whole thing is very heavy. It's 25 kilograms this, so it's very solid. It does have 4 holes where you could fix it to your bench if you want to fix it somewhere permanently. I've got quite a small workshop, so I like the flexibility of being able to move it around when I need to. So it comes with a plastic base plate, which just allows the cutter to pass through the material and into a softer surface, which gives you a much cleaner cut. So you put your material that you want to cut into onto the board, the plastic board, and then you just simply put your cutting die where you want to cut a hole out or a circle of leather. So you put this underneath the plate that comes down. You can make a slight adjustment with it there to slide the board under until the die is approximately in the center of these two big pistons. Now you'll find with this sort of press that, because it's sort of a budget range press, it's not going to be evenly distributed, so you need to press the die in multiple locations to make sure it cuts evenly. So generally the centre between these two pistons is where the strongest force will be. So if you position your die in the centre, just pull the lever down, you'll hear a click as it cuts through. Now that didn't require much effort, it doesn't require a lot of strength because of the cam shaped system it uses. All of the energies focused on one spot with a little bit of lever movement. So again, it's good practice just to move your die around a little bit, just stamp all four corners and the centre, and then pull it out. And as you can see, that should have cut through perfectly. As you can see, it has. I'll show you on the board so you can see it better. So you've got a perfectly cut circle, which took what, half a second, and you've got a perfectly cut piece of leather in a circular shape. Now, it wasn't that easy. Trying to cut that by hand would take you a while, and you probably wouldn't get a perfect circle, but that, I'll just do it very quickly again without talking about it. Just put it in, press down, and there we have another perfectly cut circle. So that is the true benefit of a die cutter. Excuse me a second. So circles, shapes, stars, hearts. If you think about it, you buy the right size die, you can be stamping out whatever shape you want. Say at Christmas time, you want to make some leather Christmas trees or leather stars. Buy a star, a Christmas tree shaped die, and you can stamp them out repeatedly. So we'll now do a bit more. We'll do a different type of leather because that was quite a soft, thin leather. We'll do a thicker leather just to show you that it can cope with thicker leathers. So I've got a roll here of some veg tan. We'll measure it again just to get an idea of what we're talking about here. And this is measuring at 2.2 mil. So quite a bit thicker in terms of leather. So I'll just cut a scrap off so I'm not wasting expensive materials, just to demonstrate a simple product. It's not a very big scrap, but it shows the principle. So I'll just find another shape to give you a bit of variety. I mean, this is a useful shape. It's an oblong with rounded ends, so it's useful for tags, zip pulls, that sort of thing. So just put it on again, same as before. Position it under your press head. Now, if you find the die is a bit higher than the other ones, that's not a problem. All you have to do is adjust the height of this horizontal section here. The machine comes with a spanner, so you just simply undo the two sides, nuts like so, and then you raise the platform a little bit by just turning the nuts underneath. Make the same number of turns on both sides. Once you get there, just check it's going to clear. First of all, it does, and tighten down those two top nuts. They don't have to be really tight, just nipped. And then you've adjusted it. A little tip I often use, it's difficult to tell whether the left and the right are always balanced, so where is it? You just take something like a little spirit level, just put that on the top of the plate. You can see from the top cam, I'll zoom in so you can. When you're adjusting the left and right nuts, you can see when your bubble, assuming of course your bench is actually level, make sure your bench is level. That's important for all workshop work. So once that's on, you can adjust the level, so once the bubble's in between those two lines, you know that both sides are the same height. So that's a little tip for you. So once you've got that in there, again, so the cutting die is on the thicker veg tan leather. We'll just raise that up, again in the centre, bring it down, you hear it click. just go around, just make a few presses, just to make sure it has gone all the way through, and there we can see, just pull that off, and we've got a perfect slot. Now can you see that on the bench side cam there? Perfect slot. Or if you want the other half of the cutout, you've got a perfect little tag. Now that makes a nice little, for example, a leather slider pull, as they're called on zips. So see, that's very basic shapes, but you can cut out quite complex shapes. It's been a long day, sorry. You can cut out quite complex shapes with a die cutting system. So cutting something small like that wouldn't be a big deal, cutting it by hand, but let's find an example. Here's a good example. You're obviously familiar with wallets that have the internal leaves where you put cards in. You'd use this sort of shape die for making those leaves. Now, it's got a curve, it's got sharp corners, it's got angles, so it's a bit more tricky to cut out. With cutting this out with a knife, you'd have to cut out the straight bits first, and then carefully cut the rounded edges, so it's a bit of a pain. But with the die cutter, it's done in seconds, so let's do that now. Okay, so I found a piece of black, it's medium sort of thickness grained leather, so we'll use that as an example. So again, just put the piece onto the plastic board, put your die cutter on. You can line up where you want the best piece of leather you choose from. Put your thing on there, your die cutter on there. Again, put it under the press. Start in the middle. You hear that nice crunch, that means it's cutting through. But always just press in a few locations. With the bigger the die is, the more presses you'll have to do to ensure you get a clean cut all the way around. So left, right, front, back, that should do the trick. So we'll click it out and just pull that away. As you can see, you've got a nice, perfectly cut leaf for your wallet. I'll put that on there so you can see it better. So there you go. It's quite a hairy leather, this, so that's why you got little hairs, but those will just pull off quite easily. So there you go. Wasn't that simple? I mean, what does that take me? It took longer because I'm demonstrating to you and talking about it, but when you're doing it just working normally, you do that in 2 seconds or less. So you got 10 minutes to cut it out by hand, or 2 seconds to cut it out with this little gadget. It's obvious. If you're making money from your hobby, this is the way to go. So, like I say, this machine, it's a very simple design. It's supplied by CPL in London, in the UK, but it is available anywhere in the world. Just contact CPL. I'll put a link in the description where you can get this. They are currently actually doing a special deal. If you remember in a previous review I did of the FoilCraft Junior, that's this machine over here, which you'll find a link for up there somewhere in the description, but also up there where you can click and have a look at that video. They're doing a special deal. If you buy the FoilCraft Junior or their other FoilCraft machines and this machine at the same time, they'll give you a good price. They'll give you a discount off this machine. So head over to their website and check out that deal. Don't forget also, remember from the previous review video of the FoilCraft machine, they'll give you 2 rolls of gold foil if you use the code Geordie. So I'll quickly show you a few other dies and some examples of what they might produce. So there are literally hundreds of designs of cutting dies. By the way, Geordie Leather has probably over 300 designs on the website, so check that out if you want to see a big range. I've shown you small ones, but they do come in quite big ones as well. I'll show you a big one now. So this is a 2-part die. As you can see, it's got the back panel and the front panel. Look at the front panel die. It's actually got multiple cutting dies within the same die, so it actually cuts out different sections of the project with one simple pull of the lever. I mean, isn't that wonderful? It saves you so much time. So I mean, this, like I say, it's a pen case holder. It is going to be made in a future Geordie Leather video, so that's something to look forward to. It actually makes this product here. So we'll get on to that in a later video. But just to summarise, in terms of die cutting, if you're going to make a living from leatherwork, which a lot of you constantly contact me asking for advice about doing that, thank you for doing that. I'm always happy to answer comments. Just leave a comment in the section below and I'll reply to you usually within 24 hours. Thank you for all your emails and suggestions. It's a big help. But just to wind up on die cutting, if you're going to do it for a living, doing it by hand just isn't feasible. It's going to take you too long. It's going to cost you too much money in terms of your time. You need to be able to stamp parts out quickly with a machine where you can make dozens in a few minutes. So that's it for die cutting. I'm going to show you a few example products which I've done myself. For example, using this 𝐾𝐈𝐍𝐿 die, very popular die. It can be used to make things like this. Is a, let me zoom in on that for you. So this is a very popular design, 𝐾𝐈𝐍𝐿. It's a great beginner project. It literally takes minutes to make, but you can sell these very easily. And it's got an inset design, so it's two-part stamp. One die cuts out the outer shape, the other die cuts out the circle, which you can then insert whatever you want into that cutout. You've seen many times before me show you this little key ring. This is a key strap key ring. Again, the machine, this sort of die, this will pump out key rings like this. You can make, I don't know, probably 40 an hour quite easily. And I've already explained how profitable these things are, particularly if you can put someone's name on it like I've done with this one. So I'm just going to quickly, just to finish off the idea of personalisation. I know I go on about this, but it is really important. If you're in leatherwork to make money, you can make leatherwork goods by the dozen and they'll sell wonderfully, but put someone's name on it and you'll double the price. So let's do that now. Okay, so we've done the stamping bit. I thought it'd be nice to finish off by just maybe personalising one or two items that we've stamped. So I've shown you this before in a previous video. This is the FoilCraft Junior hot foil stamping machine. If you didn't see the video, please check it out. It's been very popular. So there'll be a link up here to the video. So head over, have a look at that. I'm sure you'll agree this is a fantastic machine. So again, it's supplied by the same manufacturer machine. You get a discount off the die cutting machine, so that's worth checking out. Also, don't forget, if you do get one of these machines, if you mention the code Geordie when you place an order, you'll get 2 free rolls of hot foil, which will save you a bit of cash. So it's worth remembering. Tell them Geordie sent you and you get your free stuff. But we'll just quickly, just to finish off, personalise some of the bits and pieces I've shown you how to stamp. So just a refresher, with the foil stamping machine, we're gonna I've already loaded the slipcase with a name. This is a friend of mine, Brian, nice fella. I'm going to personalise an item for him. So we load the hot foil machine by putting in, it's already in, I can't find it, it's actually in the machine already. So put that in the chase, and I put the letters, making sure they're the right way around, so that when it comes down, it's the right way around on the product. So slip the slipcase in, just make sure everything's nice and tight, tighten up those little Allen keys, and that's the machine ready to start stamping. So I'll turn the power on, again turn the switch on, about 110 degrees is the recommended setting. Yep. Okay, we're all set to go. So I've already stamped the film for the alignment. If you're not sure what that's about, check out the previous review video. So I'm going to stamp a few products just to show you the benefits of die cutting things and then stamping them, how quick it is. So I've got a pile of key rings here. This is a product I get asked about so much, I thought I'd use this as some examples. So I stamp them out quickly, I die them, and then they're ready for stamping. So you get a customer order, say someone wants a keyring with the name Brian stamped onto it, you just take your pre-made blank and you put it in your hot foil stamping machine. So as you can see from the overhead cam, yeah, I've already set the jig up, or the system up, to batch produce keyrings. Obviously the name would be different for each keyring, but if you were using a generic word, say dad, mam, mommy, whatever you fancy, you can batch produce things like this. I've used 2 magnets, so what I'm going to do is slip the key blank between those 2 magnets and just let the alignment film drop back down so we can check everything's nice and straight. Before we do the final print, just make minor adjustments. The magnet will hold the product in position, so we just pull back the alignment foil film. I always get those 2 words mixed up. Put on some foil. This is heat transfer foil. It's available from everywhere, but especially from CPL. So just double check that's going to hit in the right place. Pull back the alignment film and then just bring down the press, and we should have a perfect impression. So I'll peel back the foil and we should see, there we go, Brian. Isn't that brilliant? So the advantage of this system is that once you've got your jig set up, you can batch produce. I'll do one more just to give you the idea. So I'm doing this very slowly because I'm talking to you, but you can do this very quickly if you're batch producing. So pull back the film, insert your product to be stamped, check the alignment's still correct, put your film, your foil in position again, just double check everything's still straight, peel that back, come down with your press, and there again we've got another perfect impression. So that's batch production. So I'll do a couple of other things just to give you a bit more examples. So I showed you this earlier in the video. This is one of the shapes cut out by the, there it is, by this particular die. It's a key fob, again a very popular product. So you can stamp these out in batches of whatever you want, 10, 20, whatever. Then you usually die them if you're using veg tan before you stamp them. So again, I'll put this in position. I'll take away, don't move the film because that needs to be left in position, but I'm going to position, obviously this is an odd shape, so the flat surfaces of the magnets aren't ideal, but you can use them if you want to, just to sort of roughly hold things in position. Maybe doing that might be good. And then you can line up the product again, like I say, making sure everything hits properly. Maybe slightly more this way. So once you get these set up, that's the fiddly bit, setting it up. Once it's set up, you can batch produce and stamp all day long. But for now, I think that's about right. So again, pull back the film, put your foil over the area and just come down with the press, and we should have a perfect, there we go. Isn't that wonderful? So Brian's got his own key fob, and you just simply put your key ring on it, put a bit of glue either side, contact adhesive, bring it down, and then stick it together, and there's a personalised key fob. You can stitch it, do other designs, whatever you want, but that's the principle of putting another person's name onto a product. Right, we'll do one last product before we wind this up. So this is a little wallet. You can see that I've already previously put my maker's mark in the corner there by debossing. So debossing is using the same hot foil press but without foil. Slightly higher temperature, but it's exactly the same otherwise. So there's a nice little blank space there I'll use as an example. So I'll just put the product under the alignment film, position it where it's going to be. Oh yes, when you're debossing you use a little bit of water. It just helps the surface of the leather to accept the deboss a bit more cleanly. It sort of relaxes the fibres slightly. So again, just line up your product with the approximate location given by the film. Pull that back, bring down your press, and 1, 2. There we go. So see there how that's embossed into the surface. It's a textured, it's a pattern surface, so it may not be very clear on the camera, but that's pressed the logo or your maker's mark into the surface of the leather without using any sort of foil. So just to wind up, I've showed you how to use die cutting stamping machine, which allows you to cut things out repeatedly, very accurately and amazingly quickly, which saves you so much work, so much time and so much money. So that's definitely worth investing if you're going to be batch producing products for sale. Did a quick recap on personalisation. I can't emphasise how important personalisation is in leathercraft. It really will increase your profits dramatically. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to enter this month's giveaway competition. Just visit geordieleather.com for full details. So until next time, thanks for watching. Bye bye.